Today's native plant spotlight is the stinging nettle. The habitat and range of the stinging nettle. The stinging nettle species commonly grows in moist, uncultivated areas, including riverbanks, fence rows, and roadsides, and is occasionally a problem in orchards and vineyards. It is not generally a problem in gardens and row crops. The green on the map shows where the stinging nettle grows, and the white on the map shows where it does not grow.
The stinging nettle leaves are typically oval-shaped with a pointed tip and a sharply toothed serrated margin. The stinging nettle stem is typically square, unbranched, and covered in numerous stinging hairs growing 3 to 6.5 feet tall and sometimes reaching up to 9 feet. Stinging nettle produces abundant tan-shaped egg fruits less than 1/16 inch long. These are found in clusters in leaf axils and are enclosed by spindles. A single plant can produce thousands of seeds, which primarily disperse in fall. White dead nettle is a hairy perennial plant with a square, four-angled stem, opposite toothed leaves, and rows of small white two-lipped flowers that attract bees, and the false nettle is a upright shrub-like plant that can grow 8 to 10 feet tall, but cultivated worldwide.
Culture and historical uses. The stinging nettle, they are used in medicine tea, used for its abundance of fiber, nutrients A and C.
When the stinging nettle is properly prepared, it looks like a cooked spinach or other dark leafy green, with a softer texture and a deeper green color. However, it can cause skin irritation due to its tiny hairs. Fun facts about the stinging nettle. Butterflies love nettles. Nettles are low-maintenance plants. How long have you been foraging and researching stinging nettle?
I have been researching stinging nettle about 2 years. I went back to school when I retired and got my certificate. So, herbalist. I'm a certified herbalist. So, I got really interested in that, and I have 15 books or more on different things. So, he's the forager. He's been foraging since I looked pitiful and said, "My knee hurts. Will you go out in the woods and get it for me?" Now, that's how long we've been doing it.
Probably first started using it maybe 5 years ago. I've been aware of it for a while, but just started actively looking for it within the last 5 years.
Where did your interest in this plant originate?
Every recipe or every person that I was really interested in to follow and study, people have different philosophies about plants. So you sort of pick the person that's in the same vein that you're in. Every person that I agreed with the ideology that they had for plants and medicines, and a lot of the Indian medicines and colonial medicines, which was my main focus for school, was I always mentioned stinging nettle. So it was like, this is important. We must know this. So
It originally came from I was getting into wild edibles, and it's a very good wild green, but also has some traditional medicinal properties. And I was starting to have what I thought was arthritis in my hands and feet, and I had heard that stinging nettle tea can help with that. So I started harvesting just to use it for that reason.
Where and when do you harvest this plant?
Stinging nettle is it's in the woods, and it's in a you it's a certain, like, on the, I think it's mostly on the north side of like mountains and things, and it's in a like a when you come down a mountain, it's kind of like when it levels out a little off of a mountain, you find stinging nettle. We did a lot of ours in Wise, in the road going down like Dotson Creek Road. There's a place down there that it's kind of damp, and we found like a whole like family of stinging nettles down there. And but when you harvest it, you got to be real careful. You got to wear long sleeve shirts and gloves because it will definitely sting you. So that's where we find it.
We'll harvest that in the summer months, well, from spring into the early fall before it starts wilting down. And it grows on hillsides, grows very thick patches. So it's pretty easy to spot once you find it. They're very large areas. I harvested a lot of it near my house, just in the entry to the woods. There was a lot of stinging nettle that I harvested.
What is your fondest memory surrounding this plant?
Actually, okay, I'm old. You're not going to relate to this, but you can romanticize it, make it sound good. Just doing something together to harvest it is like an old people date, okay? And so it's really a fun adventure. I love the woods. We love camping. And, Joe is extremely knowledgeable. Like, that's a slippery elm. That's a this, that's a that. I know what it's supposed to look like. He knows what it looks like. So it's a thing we do together. I would say that my fondest memory is something that we do together to, this is going to sound weird to you, you're young, to have fun.
Fondest memories, sort of funny things that happen. People hike in shorts. I very rarely hike in shorts, even when it's hot. And you lead somebody into a patch of stinging nettle, and they learn it really quickly because it's got its name because it does inject some chemicals into your skin and causes a little bit of a mild rash and an itch. And just to see people discover that for the first time is pretty. I guess it's kind of a sick humor I have, but I always enjoy it.
What is the significance of this plant to you and your family?
Okay, I personally, I have an apothecary about not quite as big as this room. I'd say about half the size of this room that are shelved from the top to the bottom. And I have my sink and my stove and all my working utensils in there. So I have an extra room built onto my house he built me. That's my apothecary. I don't want to say I help people. That sounds so basic and frigid, but people know that I do this. So they call me, hey, my kid's allergic to everything known to man from the doctor. We've experienced this, this, and this. Can you help me with this? Stinging nettle is excellent for allergies. It has lots of compounds, chemical compounds. There's a chemical side to herbalism that is actually the medicine side. And I will ask them specific questions. Do you take vitamin K? Do you do this? Do you do that? And, some of the things, just like any other medicine, you can't mix it together. So if stinging nettle will help them, I can make a tincture.
What is the significance of this plant to you and your family?
It's one that's a very good wild green if you like wild greens, and just like I said, it grows in abundance. So it's not one that if you were foraging wild foods, it's not one you really have to worry about wiping out, because when you find it, you find a thick, heavy patch of it. So it's not one you have to worry about wiping out of the ecosystem, because it's there and it's available, and it's one that for a wild green and a wild edible, it's one to have in your knowledge base.
How do you harvest this plant, and what do you use it for?
When you find when you go in the woods and you can find it comes like a patch. We call it the patch of sting nettle. You go in, and the first thing you do is you want to. We usually take shears or scissors or something like that with us, and of course you got your gloves and your long sleeve shirt, because it definitely will sting you. I don't know if you've ever been stung by a sting nettle weed, but it would leave little bumps on you like a gnat bite or a mosquito bite. So you got to be real careful. You'll get it. You'll clip the top of it off and just move the leaves and the stem out of the way, and then you follow it down to the ground. I usually take a mattock or a shovel with us, and you go down, and you want to make sure that you get all of the root, because the root it will like run, and then you want to follow it and then make sure you get all of it. And it's not very deep. They usually grow maybe 2 to 3 inches deep. They're not like a taproot that grow straight down. They just kind of run out this way. So, and then you get it, shake all the dirt off it that you can, and then we usually take it back to the wash it, then we dry it. So that's how That's how we harvest.
Well, the way I harvested when I thought I was having a little touch of arthritis is I would very carefully break the tops off where I had about 4 leaves, and I would gather that in a pot. And you have to be very careful with it. I didn't use gloves, but gloves wouldn't be a bad idea because it does have that barb on there that will inject that chemical and cause the rash. But the nice thing is, once you put it in hot water, that barb dissolves, and so then it's safe to eat and use. And the way I would harvest it is that way, very carefully, and then I would put it in a cup and I would pour boiling water on it and let it steep for 30 minutes. I would drink the tea and then eat the greens that were left over.
Hello, my name is David Goodman, and I want to take the opportunity to thank Union High School for allowing us to do this project. I want to thank the community members who came out to be interviewed. I want to thank my students, Braden Hubbard, Abigail Phillips, Kristen Klein, and Joseph Ryan for putting this project together. And lastly, I want to thank the Virginia Humanities, who provided the grant funding that made this project possible.